which is The Birds and the Bees, which is going to prick a few ears and eyes, I'm sure. It's actually all about why connecting with nature is good for your brand. So I'm going to hand over now from Weleda to Eileen, from the Studio of Art and Commerce to Bryony, and from makemepulse to Sarah, not necessarily Nicholas. Is that right? Miles, apologies. Miles may speak a little bit later on if he keeps up with us all. Over to the three of you. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the day, ladies and gents. We'll speak to you a bit later on. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. As you said, it is a great day to be alive. Real people in a real room, and yeah, apparently it's coming home. But first, we want to take it right back to the beginning and talk to you a little bit about the birds and the bees and why connecting with nature is good for your brand. Okay, so we've got various files embedded into slides, so let's hope it all comes together. And nothing's clicking. Not good. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we are. This is us. Okay. So I'm Bryony, I'm from Studio of Art and Commerce. We are a creative studio who activate brands in culture by connecting them with the passions they share with their consumers.
Hi, I'm Sarah Cutler. I'm from makemepulse. We're an interactive production studio. We create experiences that connect humans, creativity, and technology.
And I'm Eileen. Hi, lovely to be here. I work at Weleda. And this year is a very, very exciting year for Weleda, actually, because it's our 100th anniversary. And it's also the reason we are standing here today, because for the last 18 months, we've been working on a brand activation project to mark our centenary year.
So from the moment we met Weleda, we fell in love with them because of the authenticity behind their purpose. This brand looks to connect people with nature, and that starts from the very root of their business, the soil that their botanical ingredients are grown within. And from the first time we visited one of their botanical gardens, we knew that that's the job we had to do. We wanted to take the gardens and amplify them by making them digital so the whole world could enjoy them. So we're going to talk a little bit about our learnings, but first of all, we wanted to show you what we built. So the open garden, here's a little trailer if tech is on our side.
Just while we're waiting, can I just a couple of early quick questions, actually, if I may. I mean, obviously, purpose, everyone is searching for at the moment in everything they're doing. Have you had real buy-in to the story that you're trying to tell because of everyone's search for perhaps something a bit more significant than just a day-to-day job?
Yeah, we've talked about it quite a lot, haven't we, in terms of, you know, Weleda have been doing this for 100 years. They had purpose before purpose was a buzzword. And actually, what's kind of becoming a little bit meh about purpose is that everyone's doing it. And I heard a really interesting talk yesterday from a lady from Exposure, and she was talking about the sort of tension you need to have with purpose. If you stand for something, you need to stand against something as well. And actually, that's what's quite exciting for us with this, is that it's a chance for Weleda to take a more activist stand around the amazing work that they've been doing for the last 100 years. So I think it has really resonated, and it's allowed people to sort of see what Weleda have been doing rather than just be told. It's a real do rather than say. The good thing is that we have got a QR code at the end, so what you'll be able to do is scan that and actually experience the open garden. So hopefully you can sort of see everything that's within it.
Should we let you dive on? I'll hand this back.
Shall I just carry on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just carry on. And if we get the tech to work, then yeah, just give us a wave and then we can play it later. But, oh, is that a thumbs up that it's working or not? Well, anyway.
No, just keep going.
I'll carry on. Yeah, I mean, we've heard it maybe a little bit. The gardens are the true heart of Weleda. It's really the place where you can see how we work, how we, what we stand for as well. Now, talking about purpose, and also how we've been really working in harmony with nature and the human being since 1921, so for 100 years. And to this day, the business really is rooted in our founders' bold vision. And this vision is maybe even more relevant today than it ever has been. We are equal to nature. We are part of the same ecosystem. It may sound like taken out of a David Attenborough documentary right now, but it really underpins how the business, how we do business and how the business was set up 100 years ago. And you may not know Weleda. Maybe you recognize the green tube here on the screen. Skin Food is a famous one, but we are the world's leading manufacturer of 100% certified natural organic cosmetics and anthroposophic pharmaceuticals. And for the centenary year, we really wanted to open up the garden gates and invite as many people as possible into our gardens because, as Bryony said, there are so many stories there and magic happening, and we wanted to show that. But of course, bringing the people to the gardens is not necessarily the most sustainable way and also not scalable. So we opted to bring the gardens to the people, yes. And with that, we have created this wonderful space, the open garden, which is accessible from wherever you are, from the palm of your hand, with your mobile device.
So you've heard why connecting with nature is so important for Weleda as a brand, but for us, the thing that was so exciting about this as a project was that exploring passions, nature isn't just a passion that's important for Weleda, it's important for everybody in this room, and it's important for culture as a whole. We are living in, this is when I see if the coffee's kicked in, we are living in what is sometimes referred to as the Anthropocene, or the Anthropocene era, and what that means is that we're in a period where human activity has really started to have an impact on our climate and our ecosystem. So our connections with nature are not always good ones. We're taking more than we're giving back. And, more than that, also, we're so disconnected. Like, look around us here. We're in a converted warehouse in East London, and we've never been more disconnected to nature. Yet we know that people need to be more connected. When you are connected with nature, it improves your well-being. When we understand nature, we can start to work with it to make improvements. So, for us, we always look at the passions that are relevant for consumers, and we know that people don't, it's a bit controversial, people don't really care about brands. They care about real things in their lives. And nature is something that a lot of people are becoming more and more aware of the importance of now. So, how could we actually connect people again? The lockdown has definitely served to kind of make our case. More and more people are seeing the importance of well-being in nature. We know that it improves our wellness, and we know that if we don't sort something out about this now, in 100 years, we aren't even going to have any businesses to run. But that didn't make it kind of an easy place to start. We needed to turn that into something that was accessible, entertaining, and really simple to understand. So we needed to simplify complexity, and we were really lucky to bring in makemepulse, who are experts in this area when it comes to digital experience. So what we wanted to do before we get a little bit more into the detail, and we've sort of ummed and ahed about whether this is going to work. We'll see if the tech's on our side. But we've talked a lot about the importance of connecting to nature, and what we wanted to do now was actually just invite you all to connect with nature for just a moment. It's probably been a busy morning, rushing through London, being in a room with lots of people again. So we wanted to. I'm going to see if this is going to work. Are the sound's going to play? Is that going to play? Oh, no, okay. All right, well, maybe you can use a little bit of imagination, but we just wanted to ask you to take a couple of seconds, here we are, to just sort of either close down your eyes, or if you feel more comfortable, just sort of look gently towards the floor. And we just wanted to take 20 seconds to really focus on your breath, your inhale and your exhale, and just imagine that you are somewhere in nature for a moment. It could be a beautiful beach, a jungle, maybe it's a garden, and we'll just take a moment. Okay, so we'll bring everyone back together because I know we don't have loads of time, but what we wanted to prove really is that when you have a chance to take a moment and to connect with nature, it brings a sense of calm and coherence, and we wanted to replicate that in our experience. So I'm going to hand over to Sarah, who's going to talk a little bit more about this as a trend in digital and how we could really bring that calm and coherence from nature into our mobile experience.
Thanks, Bryony. Well, I think the music has at least put my baby to sleep, so that's something, as we've been worrying about him all day. So for makemepulse, we've already talked a little bit about it. As human beings, we don't really care about brands. We also don't really care about immersive new technology. What we care about is experiences. We care about memories. We care about creating connections to things. All of those things, again, which are very much paralleled in nature, which is why we like to get outside. Even before COVID, I think what we've been seeing with technology and with digital is that there has been a little bit of a digital renaissance. Part of that's down to 5G, part of that's down to the changing technology in your handset. But actually, that's enabled us to create much richer experiences and really create interactive projects and brands and worlds and hubs where people are brought into something. They can follow a story. They can be suckered into a real narrative, which is what we wanted to bring to the open gardens. And from a sustainability point of view, from a climate emergency point of view, a trend that we've really seen is actually how can you get people to connect with nature or connect with perhaps endangered environments through technology without them getting on a plane, without people having to travel? Because one of the only ways that we're going to be able to sustain and protect our world and our planet and our diversity going forward is to obviously drive cultural change, drive behavioural change. So one thing that we've really seen now is a real trend in creating interactive experiences that bring to life different parts of the world or bring to life different parts of the climate emergency and tell that narrative, but purely through digital. And that for us was really our starting point and our point of inspiration for creating this project.
And that was also really important for Weleda, because for Weleda, we wanted to use the technology as enabler for us to reconnect as many people as possible with the natural world. And we, of course, also wanted to create a platform that is fun and immersive and engaging, so that the people have the feeling that they actually they're in nature, real life, exploring our gardens and hearing the stories we have to tell. Having an educational and a fun element to it was, of course, also really important, and picking out those relevant stories. And of course, that's easier said than done, because working with nature is not necessarily that easy, isn't it, Bryony?
No, so, nature is a beautiful thing. It was a wonderful theme to start on, but it's not always easy. The problem with nature, both for us when we started this project and for us all as humans, is that it is big, it's overwhelming. We know there's an issue, but we don't know where to start. We don't know what to do. And sometimes when you don't know what to do, you almost do nothing. So you get this kind of paralysis. And actually what we wanted to do was take all of this news and turn it into something that was, accessible for people, that was entertaining and that was digestible. And the way that we did that was that we went and looked for a solution that was coded in our culture. So back in 2019, we were invited to come into Weleda and to learn about all of the stories that they had to tell. And we had a huge job in simplifying complexity and really picking out the stories that were going to resonate for people. And to do that, we did a deep data exercise, which sounds a little bit scary, but we like to think of data as humans in disguise. So it gives us a chance to speak to lots and lots of humans all at the same time. And what it did was it unearthed the conversations that people were already having in this area and allowed us to find the white spaces that Weleda could play into. So that was great, but we still ended up here, and I'm not expecting anyone to read any of the words on this slide, but you can see that, we had this content ecosystem inspired by nature that was still very complicated. We still had a lot of things to talk about. And actually what we wanted to do was not just talk at people, we wanted to give them things that they could do with their hands to go and connect with nature themselves. So within the platform, you will not only find, important messages about biodynamics and about ethical sourcing and about soil health, but you'll also find ways to go and spot different types of bees in your garden. You'll find ways to start your own compost heap. And you'll also be able to find your botanical match, as we mentioned earlier. So we had this map, and we had all this enthusiasm and excitement, and then we needed to turn it into a reality, hence Make Me Pulse, enter Make Me Pulse and their expertise. There you go.
So over to us. Nature's beautiful, right? Mother Nature's probably the best designer, the best creative in the world. We've got a great design team, we've got some fabulous creatives and great graphic designers, but none of them are going to be able to compete with Mother Nature in terms of what we could achieve. So where on earth did we start? I think the brief for us was really about how can you make this look and feel real. We didn't want this to look like a computer game. We wanted it to look and be the exact gardens that Weleda had created, but they were also all over the world. This was a global project for global markets with global gardens, and we were making one single experience that needed to work, therefore, across every market, and the nuances and the differences within their kind of audience in each of those markets and the social media that they used. There we go. So for us, it was about starting and thinking about how do you move around a garden. It's quite serendipitous. You move freely. You look at what you want to do. You follow your own path. And that's what we wanted to bring to this web experience. So you could obviously explore this garden above ground and below ground. But it was also really important that we landed some of this content. There's so many great stories to tell, and we also needed to have some form of path. So for us, it was about creating a user experience and a user journey that brought you through, that gave you both freedom, but also focus. I have to stand over here to kind of get it to click. And then the other side that we wanted to bring in is this reference to these kind of beautiful botanicals and draw out these beautiful products. And again, making them as as real as possible. I think for us as well, we were trying to think about how could we use innovative technology. We know that if you use things like augmented reality, we know that certain technology and digital experiences can actually increase your visual memory by up to 70% when used in a really smart way, but it needed to be intuitive. It needed to be educational or entertaining or add relevance. So it's thinking about all of these little elements and how we could bring them in, for example, with the augmented reality botanical library. Over to you, Elaine, to talk more.
We actually had to plan and deliver a content shoot during lockdown, which was, exciting to say the least. It definitely kept us on our toes. This project really came to life when just everything was locked down, so we had restrictions everywhere. Within each country, they were changing restrictions constantly. And of course, we all can relate to this. We always want the best slick-looking, high-end content, don't we? But of course, with the Open Garden Project, we just couldn't send professional teams to some of our gardens. And sometimes they're quite remote as well. We couldn't send professional teams to interview our experts. So we kept it really simple. And we opted for a really authentic, raw and real option. And we encouraged our own marketing teams around the world. We encouraged our gardeners, our experts, to create their own content with as little as just a smartphone, as you can see here on this little picture, smartphone, a gimbal, a tripod, and a little self-shoot guide that we put together so that we, especially a biodynamic farmer who's lived and breathed nature all his life, is now asked to record and film himself or herself is a bit of an ask. So we did put some tips and tricks together as well. And this decentralized way of producing content actually resulted in a brilliantly positive experience. From the fact that internally at Weleda, we created a real buzz. I mean, this is a global project, and some of you working in global businesses, you may know that a global project in a local market, maybe there is not everybody's behind a project. But with this, everybody knew about the Open Garden, what we wanted to achieve, and was really behind this. Also, we created so many more stories. We had so many more assets in the end, which is just fantastic, because now we've built the Open Garden as this giant ecosystem of content which will secure us going forward. We can add to it. And also, we have all these assets that can be used as standalone to use on various different channels, especially social media. So we bring real consistency to our human stories that make up our brand across all of our markets. We have here a little map, because I just wanted to really show that how truly this project really is, how truly global this project really is, sorry. And these little green dots, you may not see it very well, but you can see that we have traffic coming from every country on this planet. And we have some great stats. The platform has only been live for 5 months.
We're running, sorry to interrupt. I know I'm giving a nudge that we're running a little bit short on time. So I think we can download the presentation afterwards and you can see some of the performance highlights and things there. But I'm going to nudge us on to where we see we go from here. Very painful to let go of these slides when we practice them so much. But I know it's really important to land this point, because that's the theme of the conference. Where do we go from here? So we'll just each give you a quick rundown on our views of how the world is going to be in a post-pandemic life. So Sarah, do you want to go first?
So for Make Me Pulse, I think we can't necessarily talk about the large brands and everything that we're going to be doing, but I think from an individual level, we actively are looking out for projects and want to be able to use our skill set and our abilities to tell these stories and to highlight culture change that we can impact and highlight the climate emergency and basically use our skill sets for good now and going forward.
At Studio, we've been really looking at the cultural renaissance that we think is going to come post-COVID, and its history has proven that after any period of unrest, there is a cultural boom. And this era is going to be defined by individuals and communities who are going to bring change. And just as Weleda has connected to nature and they're building change throughout their business, we need to connect both to each other and to nature to drive change as we go forward. Because ultimately, all we have are the relationships with each other and the earth that we live on. And unless we've got Richard Branson or Elon Musk hiding at the back somewhere, I think we're going to be stuck on this planet for quite a lot longer. So I really hope that as brand definers and leaders that we start to nurture the relationships that we have with culture, with each other and with nature.
Yeah, following on from that, when we look to the next not 10 but 100 years, I think the mindset of truly giving back more than we take really has to be at the core of every decision we make in our businesses, no matter how large or small. And with that needs to be the bravery, and I'm speaking about real bravery, to openly and transparently track ourselves, trace ourselves, look at the progress we're making and hold ourselves accountable. It's really not easy and quite complex to balance people, planet, and purpose in order to run a sustainable business that will generate some profit that can be reinvested again into projects. And the reason, and I'm being quite provocative here now, because the reason why this is such a challenge is also because the way we conduct business with each other, the way our industry norms have been set out, they are profit and growth driven. Product innovations are needed to fuel that growth, and I'm being even more provocative now to say, maybe even just purely to fill stakeholder pockets. When we look towards the beauty industry, we have claims like natural, green, clean, eco. They don't mean anything anymore. They are marketing buzzwords. And we're leaving consumers navigating a jungle of greenwash claims, not able to differentiate companies and brands that are really here to do more good and not just less bad, just because of a bandwagon, a trend. And with that, I would like to invite you all collectively as brand custodians, as business owners, as marketeers, it's in our hands to challenge that status quo. It's in our hands to bring more transparency and honesty into our ways of business. It's in our hands to bring more ethical business practices into our whole value chain. And it's in our hands to raise awareness about the fact that everything we as individual brands offer and deliver and work with touches and comes from nature at one point or another. So I'm really asking you, is it time to put Mother Nature, give Mother Nature a seat at the table? And with that, I'm going to end on a question. How will you, or second question, how will you and the brands you work with balance people, planet, and your profit in an equal share for the next 100 years? And with that, I'm thanking you, and go and check out the open garden and explore.
Brilliant. Thank you very, very much indeed. And I'm sorry to have sort of rushed you through. I'm conscious we've got a schedule to stick to. This is almost my favourite bit of the day, when we just very quickly, for a couple of minutes, open it up to the floor. Some really interesting points thrown out there. I wondered if anyone's got any questions, whether they want to come back, or if this is the point where people traditionally check their phone, look at their feet. Has anyone got anything you'd like to raise? Because otherwise, there's one question I'd very quickly love to ask the three of you, which is some really powerful statements. And you've put up a website as well. But if people want to drive change, what is the actual action that they should go and do off the back of this?
One single action?
Yeah. What would you recommend? I mean, there's so much. A lot of people will go, great, I want to get in. Where do I start?
I mean, it depends on whether it's an individual or a business.
Okay.
I think, well, actually, it's pretty much the same, maybe even as well, because we have to recognize we're all human. We are not perfect. At Weleda, we're not perfect by all means.
Yeah.
But it's the intent. You know, have we got the right intent? And there are ways of starting with just bringing more humanness to the ways we produce and we manufacture and we go about offering our services. And I think there's already a start there in a mindset shift. Of course, there's also ways of reducing your plastic and composting your food waste. There's a lot of things, and lots of things are on the open garden if you wanted to check that out. But on a business level, I think there are lots of certifications as well, true certifications we can work with as businesses, and B Corp is one of them. If anybody has started the B Corp process, please do, because you get lots and lots of great questions asked. So please check that out. It's a brilliant way of challenging yourself.
Okay.
I think we'd sort of just say as well, find the passions that connect you with your consumers and do something about them. Don't just go and talk to them about them. Find ways to do something. Find ways to get those passions into their hands. And together, that's how we're going to drive change over the next 100 years.
Step one, Sarah.
And very quickly, I was going to say, I think from a business, look into B Corp.
Yeah.
Also, for us, we've made almost like an internal sustainability effort, a list of objectives that we can achieve as a business, that we've put together as a business. And then tell the stories. Tell the stories and keep telling the stories. Loud, loud, loud.
Dive into an immersive digital experience that connects you with nature, just as we have been doing for over 100 years. It's a place to interact, learn, and lose yourself in our gardens, both above and below ground. It's a place to hear stories from our gardeners, suppliers and experts about everything they care about, from biodiversity to bees. Explore beautiful 360 videos, 3D spatial sounds, interactive stories, and insightful short films. Plant some of our key ingredients in your own garden, desk, or rooftop using augmented reality. The Weleda Open Garden opens up our world to your world. It's our most exciting way yet of connecting people with nature. Join us in the open garden.
We got there in the end. A very good note on which to end. Bryony, forgive me, I forgot to say. Eileen, Bryony and Sarah, thank you very much indeed. That was fantastic. And well done to Miles as well.